Okay, morning, I'm Shireen, I'm an alcoholic. Shireen! Yeah, I haven't had a drink today, and you laugh because it's 9:30 in the morning. But yeah, 2 years ago I couldn't have said that to you, honestly. It's always good to share that I'm very fearful and nervous. That helps to go away. And I guess what I want to do today is just like let you know what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. So yeah, just starting with my childhood, I struggled very young, inside, terminally, I didn't fit in. I was very separate and apart quite young. Yeah, you know, I just always wanted to fit in. That is what I wanted. Everybody, you know, likes to tease me, and it's a fact, it's the color of my skin. I was a lot darker than a lot of kids, so I was already like seen as different, so I didn't fit in at all. But other than that, life at home was really, really good. I've got an older brother, and my mom and dad. My dad was a very ambitious young man. He grew up in a very alcoholic environment himself, and I don't think he realized he was one himself until much later on in life. But he did. He bought us a beautiful home, and we were really short of nothing. I won't say we were spoiled, but we definitely weren't short of anything. And we were a very, very, very close family. But then my dad, he opened his own business. And yeah, I think that's kind of where it started. He obviously was starting to do very, very well. And in the beginning, it was fine. It was a family business, so we would go every Friday. And he would drink, and you know, we would be there as a family. But this started to change. I can't really remember at what stage, but my mom stopped taking my brother and I there. And yeah, in the beginning, you know, he would come home, he had a bit too much to drink, and it'd be, you know, a little bit of fighting, but nothing crazy. But yeah, they say this is a disease of progression, and while it progressed in my dad, I'm talking of a span of probably 10 years in my life, but when I look at it now, it went very, very quick for him. I listened to an amazing share last week about a guy who described the relationship between his mom and his dad. And his dad was the extreme blackout, aggressive drunk, and his mom was the very strong, angry lady. And I don't say that to hurt my mom, but she was. She's one of those that you fear, you really do. He spoke of experiences that he had when the fighting got really bad. You know, how he watched his mom, like, physically hurt his dad. It made me remember one incident where the only thing standing between my dad and my mom with the butcher knife was myself and the bedroom door. And yeah, I hate to say it, the bedroom door never made it. But anyway, my dad did, and so did I. But I think my mom, you know, if you've ever experienced a very drunk, abusive, alcoholic, there's no compromising, there's no way of making them get out of whatever it was. And the worst is he was a complete blackout, so the next day he couldn't remember anything. And I remember as a child looking at this and believing I was not that. I was never going to be that. It was humiliating. I mean, the neighbors were always out there watching, listening. The cops were at our house every weekend. And I remember looking at all of this and believing I would never do that to my family. I was never going to hurt them. I was never going to humiliate them. And you know what? I actually turned out to be exactly the same, if not worse. So that's kind of, you know, my upbringing. And then high school, things changed for me. I started getting friends. Things were a bit different. But my disease came for me very quickly in an eating disorder. And I know I'm an alcoholic because of my behavior, because I didn't have one drink in me when this happened. But what I'd done to get it right, how the lengths that I went through to hide it. And I think for me, it was the control. I mean, I had such absolute control of how I ate and what I ate. And then, of course, the attention I got when I started losing the weight. It was not something I had growing up. I was fitting in. So that kind of gave me everything I had been looking for. Eventually, my family, my mom did pick up on that, and I landed up in my 1st treatment center as an outside patient. And I got there the one day and I saw a young girl suffering with the same thing from me, and I looked at it and I thought, yeah, I don't want to be like that, and I changed that. And I kind of believe that's where my head went all these years, like I can change it when I want to change it, when it suits me. And that's kind of the selfish life of alcoholism and addiction, because I'm both. In fact, I'm a dustbin, is what people would call us, because it wasn't always alcohol. It went into drugs and then prescription meds. I was going to use and do anything to feel better, for it to give me what I didn't think I had. So I left high school. I got into my first relationship with a guy. In the rave scene, I was introduced to a substance, and wow, that was just finally, what I needed, what I liked. It gave me everything I couldn't be, the weight loss again, And I've been thinking about it. I didn't know anything about that you could get a tablet to help you sleep. I didn't know you could get a tablet to suppress your appetite. So I guess a lot of us, somebody introduced it to us, but they didn't realize who they were introducing it to. Because once I found out what it could do for me, I was going to use it, and it was never enough. It eventually, was just more and more and more. Moving on, I met my husband-to-be quite young. At the same time, I got a job in the music industry, which was amazing. I think I shared last year what's the best place to hide an alcoholic in the music industry, where you drink for free and everybody falls over and you just, that's the life. So I could hide quite nicely behind all of that. I could drink as much as I wanted. It was for free. I mean, can you imagine? And but for the most part, I really didn't feel like I deserved it. I struggled a lot with believing I was capable of, having a good job. I didn't apply myself at school at all. There was so much going on at home, running away from home, running away from all of that, that none of it made sense. It wasn't worth my while to study. It wasn't worth my while. My mom had me dancing from a very young age. The night she sat up, making my costumes for me, took all of that for granted, because I decided in high school I didn't want to do it anymore. It just wasn't for me. So very selfish. I walked away from a lot of opportunities, and I just was going to do it Shireen's way, because I guess what I'd done with hurt and pain then is I took it to a whole new level, and I believed it made me stronger. But it was a very selfish way of being strong. I would hurt you before you hurt me. And for a very long time, I didn't believe I hurt anybody. I'm very good at the self-pity victim role. That was pretty much the story of my life. Because everything that happened to me, well, shame, poor me, bird with the broken wing. Anyway, I got married quite late. Again, it was the same. I didn't want the marriage my parents had. My ex-husband and I definitely can sit here and tell you today it was doomed from day one. Extremely alcoholic in both our behaviors. We used alcohol a lot in the marriage. It was probably the biggest problem, and don't get me wrong, they teach us it's not about the alcohol, it's about the behavior. But yeah, we would make up to alcohol, we would break up to alcohol. It's just, that was just something we couldn't leave out. But I got married very late. And it turned out that my ex-husband was to be a very jealous and possessive man. Life was very, very difficult, but I can't sit here and say that it didn't suit me. I got all the affirmation I wanted. We would fight, I would pack up my bags and leave, and I'd wait for that call. I'd wait for that call, please come home. And we would just get on, and it was a vicious cycle. I mean, we were together for 20 years, married for 12. And then at the time, also, I had my eldest daughter, Tyler. Again, it was a decision, like just something I thought I could never be. I didn't think I could be a mom. I didn't think I had the skill for that. But a lot of what I done was, I think, I wouldn't say please others, but I needed something You know, so if it wasn't this, it was the job. If it wasn't the job, it was the marriage. Then that wasn't enough, maybe having a child. And I'm very proud. I love to share on the fact that with both my pregnancies, I didn't drink or use. But, you know, the minute I had both of them, it was right into that cycle. At this point as well, I got into the prescription meds. And I mean, I shared last year, you know, the alcoholic that I am, and if you've been on an antidepressant, they tell you take a half for the first 7 days and a full one thereafter. Well, I think I took 3 on the first day because, you know, I want to feel better now. I don't want to wait 7 days. It's just got to kick in like now. I mean, that's my thinking. And yeah, you know, it went from there. Before my 30th birthday, I experienced the biggest loss of my life with my dad. By this point, he had lost everything. And I did. I kind of became his keeper. I experienced nightmares with him. Like I would get calls in the middle of the night to go and fetch him. The one time I got to him, his entire face had been crushed. They had driven over him with a car. And you would think all of this would make me look at me, but it didn't. It just fueled even more the right I felt to drink and use on all of this stuff. You know, look at me, look at the pain, the victim. You know, I've got this dad who's lost everything. He's really got nothing, and he still won't give it up. And I guess he was one of those in the end. There was no reason. You know, he had lost it all, so why stop? But anyway, still God took him suddenly. I remember finding him that morning and him being ice cold and me actually asking him, you know, how could he do this to me? Because once again, it was about me. Unfortunately, after that, I don't remember 2 years of my life. I try to remember in treatment when I wrote my life story, and it's gone. I know I had a husband at home. I know I had a 2-year-old little girl, and I didn't care. Because it wasn't about them, it was me, it was about my loss, it was about my pain. But yeah, somehow I picked it up again in my life. I got a very good job again. And I had gone off the drugs by now, and I believe I'd realized I was no good in front of people with alcohol. I didn't believe I was at what my father was, but I definitely knew I was different. I knew I didn't handle. I was a complete blackout, and yeah, you know. But I think what I managed to do is I was on the prescription meds, and that kind of still gave me something, and I could do that in front of people, and nobody would ever know. I think my family always knew. I don't think they knew to what lengths it was. But yeah, it was bad. You know, whatever I could get my hands on, I was going to take and I was going to use, and no one was going to take that away from me. No one was going to change that because I would decide how this would happen. And that was the story of my life. I hurt a lot of people doing that. I pushed a lot of people away, and then I blamed them when they weren't there. I mean, one of my biggest defects still is my self-reliance. And I've learned, you know, like when I don't ask for help, I don't get it. I can't sit in resentment around that, but I did for many, many years. Anyway, then I went on to have my second little one. Thinking again, it would quieten me. I was older, I was more mature. Maybe it would bring, you know, peace to a marriage that had fallen apart so long ago, and it didn't. In fact, it got worse for me. I then went on to have, I used to say freak accident, but I was at home quite ill from work. And what Shireen did, because I wasn't even capable of being just sick. You know, I had to always take something, so I did. I took sleeping tablets that morning because I just wanted to sleep it off. And I was outside having a cigarette and I lost my balance and I fell through a glass window. I almost lost my arm that day. And you would think you would wake up from all of this and realize you got to stop, you know, you're doing something wrong, and I didn't. What happened with that is that my husband at the time told me, you know, maybe I should stop work and become this housewife. And I thought, okay, well, let's try that because nothing else is working. The job's not helping. You know, always looking for something better. I thought maybe you staying at home and being a mom, which was a disaster, would help me. But I did. I listened. I stayed at home. And yeah, this was, no one knew what would come from this, because this was really, I think, where my disease progressed the most. You know, you're at home, you're alone, the weight is there, you feel like you have no purpose and you add no value. And I did. I got completely more into the prescription meds. And then I remembered what substance drugs did for me when I was 18. And I asked a friend to go and find something for me, and he did. And I tell you, once I took that, I knew this was it. It was gonna give me everything that I couldn't find, and it did. It became my choice for probably, I would say, 7-8 years, day in and day out. So my marriage obviously started falling apart quite quickly. But still, you know, there was always this want and need to prove others wrong. There was always this want and need, like I can get this right, again, on my terms, like it's going to happen the way I want it to happen. Always also running to my mom, my stepfather, who I didn't mention a lot in my last year's share. And I said to him this morning, this one's for you because you never judged me. And he giggled. He said, no, I actually did. But what he did is he never made me feel judged. You know, it's very difficult. Can you imagine having a stepdaughter who's not only a stepdaughter, but is this alcoholic that causes chaos and knocks on your door randomly to just come and live there, and then when she's done, she leaves. Complete chaos, and I didn't see any of it. I really didn't. But eventually, sorry, I might jump over all over the place a bit this morning. But eventually, my marriage it fell apart, and we got divorced. And I can't change that. And I know today that it was probably the best thing that happened between the two of us. But recovery has really taught me to feel the pain of my children. Maybe if I could have changed it, I would have fought for them. Because at the time, it's all about my needs, my selfishness. Like, I don't want this anymore. That was pretty much a story of my life. When I was done, I was moving on. My ex-husband he caught me out a lot, using and drinking, and he did. Same as what I grew up, begged me to stop, the same way my mom begged my dad, and I refused. Because it was my solution. There was absolutely no way you're going to take that away from me. So we got divorced, and you know, it was ugly. It wasn't very nice. But again, I didn't feel or care how anybody else felt. It was all about me, and I believed again. It made me stronger. I believed again that, you know, I fought to keep my children, and I really believed I was a good mom. I really believed I was always there. I really believed I never let them down, and boy, like I shared last year, how are you any of that when half the time you are high, drunk, or passed out? Because that's what I was really. And I need to tell you all of this about who I was because I need to maybe let you know what recovery has maybe changed in me, but I did. I would leave my children at home alone at night. I believed if they were locked inside, they would be safe, and I would go and I would pick up and I would come home. But they eventually realized I was missing because sometimes I'd get a call from the security that they were looking for me. And you would think all of this would start like making me wake up and stop. But I was so deep in it, and I believed it was the only way I got through the day, you know, is I needed something in my system to get up and be a mom. I'm embarrassed to say that I would even take grocery money, have the bare minimum in the house, because as long as I could get my alcohol, meds, or drugs, that's just the way it was. A lot of guilt and shame, but you know, today it's no longer a secret. Today it's my story, and I put them through a lot. I got into a very dangerous relationship with a guy in Joburg. I didn't see the danger in it because I was so consumed about me and proving something and not wanting to be alone, because that's really where I was by this stage, very alone. That I put my children's life in danger, I put my own. But I think eventually I phoned my mom and I said, please, I need to come. I'm in a lot of trouble. And she said I could come, but my mom was quite reluctant, and I used to get angry with her around that, but I understand so completely now why. Because it's just what I'd done. It was her story with me. And I was also very much leading a double life. You know, my mom would phone and I would tell her that I'm clean and sober and everything's fine. In the meantime, it was a lie. I was using, I was drinking, day in and day out. You know, some days I couldn't even get my children to school. Anyway, I think I got to a stage where I thought, okay, well, you know, I've got two choices here. Yeah, I think the biggest wake up I got is one day I was at home and a lady who was cleaning the one townhouse knocked on my door and said to me, she needs to speak to me quite desperately, and I said yes. And she said to me that she just wants me to know that the social welfare is on their way. Her boss, her owner's got recordings of the fighting and the screaming. They know that I'm using on the premises, and she just, you know, wanted me to know. And what I done with that is, like, you know, at the time I thought I was being completely selfless and do the next best thing. I phoned my ex-husband and I said, you better get here now. Please come and fetch the girls. Because at the time I thought, okay, well, I'll stand strong. I will accept anything that comes, but let me get them away. One of my ways I thought of protecting them, which he did. He came for them, but what I'd done is when they came home from school, they asked me why am I sending them away, and I never explained. They needed to understand again what I wanted, and they needed to go. Anyway, that social worker never came. Nothing ever came from that, but then my, you know, plan, for lack of a better word, kicked in quite quick. I phoned my mom. I did not tell her everything that was going on, but pretty much I told her that I need to bring them, I need to get them to you. I didn't see my girls for 3-4 weeks. And the next time they saw me, they were leaving their dad and getting on an airplane and moving with me to Durban. And again, I didn't see any of the hurt, I didn't see any of the pain I'd caused anybody. And my thinking was, let me just get them here, let me get them to my mom, and I'm going to go. You know, I'm tired, I'm done. Like, I want things in life, and this is not what I want anymore. In the meantime, how can you want anything in life when you've thrown it all away? I believed I arrived here with everything. I was going to start a new life. In fact, I arrived here with 2 little girls, a suitcase, and flat broke. I'd thrown it all away. I had absolutely no friends, family, no one really left in my life except my mom and my stepfather and my brother. Anyway, I got here, and you know what they taught me in treatment is where I go, and that was definitely the case. You know, but it would be another 9 months of complete madness and chaos here before what I honestly know today, without a doubt in me, was my rock bottom. I caused a lot of pain. I didn't see anything that I was doing was wrong. I had my children here, and they were supposed to now have a life. They were supposed to like have friends. They were supposed, because I needed time alone. You know, I'm a single mom, 24 hours. I need my space. And that never happened. The more they were around me and the more they tried to protect me, the more I tried to push them away, the more I tried to hurt them, is because I didn't want to be loved. I wanted people to, well, I wanted to be loved, but the way I wanted to be loved. Again, it's all about Shireen. Anyway, so to get through that quite quickly, my mom's friend called me the one morning and asked me to come and see her, and of course, the great alcoholic that I am, I've got 100 stories going through my head. What story am I going to spin here? What am I going to say? What has she caught me doing? And she didn't really. She just asked me, what is the problem? My family love me. My children love me. Why do I do what I do? And I looked at her and I said, I don't know. And she said, what is the problem? And I said, the biggest problem is I'm alone. And I've pretty much felt alone my whole life. Everything has always felt like a fight, and I know, all very self-pity victim, but it really did. It always felt like a fight. And I never ever saw any of my blessings. I didn't believe I had anything to offer. So by the time I hit my rock bottom, I was completely broken. I was tired. I had absolutely no more ideas. And but what had happened with her, seeing me, she asked me if I'd like to start meetings. And I said, yes, no, we can do that. We can do meetings. And I did. I walked into my first meeting, which was the other fellowship. And I love sharing on the fact when they asked me to say my name, I did, and everybody clapped hands for me. And I was like, wow. It's been a long time since anybody's been happy to see me. But it would take another 4 or 5 weeks before I decided to go in, because I'd met a psychiatrist here in Durban, and he was the first one that was not going to enable me, because I think for the first time I was quite honest with him in terms of that I was using. And he told me about this place where you go to for 3 months. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to go there. I've got like so much to do. I had actually jack shit to do. And then when I came into the rooms, I did. The first lady that approached me, who was to be my first sponsor, called me for coffee, and I could think of nothing more boring in my entire life to go for coffee. Sorry, I've got to be honest, but okay. But what I did is I was drinking double vodkas in cream soda in front of her. And there's a lot of people, or some people still sitting here who saw me when I first came in these rooms. And yes, I was quite the picture actually. Because I didn't believe anybody could see, but I didn't know who I was dealing with. I was dealing with me, so everybody could see. Anyway, like I said, I hit my rock bottom in the most unexpected way. And I think what it was for me is I probably could have got away with it again, because again, it wasn't my fault. But the difference was this time when I got home after my children and my family seeing me in the state I was in that particular day, my girls ran up to me and hugged me and loved me, which I didn't feel I deserved. My mom gave me one more opportunity to just come clean with her and tell her what I was going to do. And I said, okay, no, I'm going to go in. And I'm going to, try. I don't know if it's going to work, but I'll try. Anyway, I'll never forget. I was sitting in the parking lot and I phoned the house on the hill. And I thought, depending how long, because I'd been in an institution that year alone in 9 months. I'd gone in 7 times. So they normally tell you got to wait a day or 2 for a bed and all this. I knew how this worked. And when they said, you can come straight away and we'll even get a driver to pick you up, I was like, oh, wow, okay. I'm not getting out of this one. And so I said, okay, no, but come for me tomorrow. I'm going to do this differently. And I did. The next day I got up and I did. I said, please bring a driver, because I really was. I was tired of my family driving me in and out of hospitals and institutions and basically trying to save my ass. Somehow I knew I needed to do this alone this time. So the next day I left my girls each a little something next to their bed. I left something for my stepfather and something for my mom, which was different. I see that now, it was very different. So for me, I honestly believe that's where it started to change. Anyway, I got up to the house on the hill and I had absolutely no idea what they do up there. I was told it's a farm and you go and you get better, and yeah, it might be a farm, but definitely not, it wasn't a holiday. In fact, when I saw the lady who got me there visit me the one day, I said to her, no, I owe you a very big coffee when I come out of here. Because it was just so completely different. You know, the other treatment centres that I'd been to, they let you sleep for a few days, they give you some medicine, you know, and tell you shame, you know, it's so hard to be you. I got there, I saw the doctor, and I said to her, because by this point I conceded defeat and I knew I wanted to get off everything. But I said to her, you know, you can take all this medication, except, you know, my sleeping tablets. And she looked at me and said, well, now I know what you're addicted to, so those will come first. And it was, I have to be honest, it was the hardest thing I ever had to do. But for the first time, I was going to go and do whatever it was I needed to do. My first phone call to my daughter, she phoned me in tears and she said, how are they going to get you better by mopping the floor and washing dishes and not on medicine? And I said to her, I have absolutely no idea. But I'm going to do it. You know, it's okay. I can do this. It's fine. And I did. You know, I got concerned 2.5 months in. One particular person sitting here today concerned me because I hadn't been concerned and I was going to kill him for that one, but it was because of my anger I was concerned, so there we go. And I was given a 4th month and my sponsor called me in and she said, well, how do you feel? Will you stay? And I was dishonest. I said, yes, I'll stay, but we can't afford that. An hour later I got a call, I said, my mom's just paid for you to stay 4th month. And I was so angry. I was really angry with my mom. Because I really thought, you know, I've done this, I've worked so hard, you're going to make me stay, you don't want me home, which was a little bit of the truth, I know now. Best Christmas ever. Yeah, it probably was. Anyway, but I did it. My 4th month, they allowed me to go home every weekend. I could leave after the sister fellowship meeting on a Friday, and I had to be back in at 4. And I have to be honest, the first 2 weekends, I would fight with my mom. I would be so selfish. And you know, they say something magic happens up there, you know. And I did. I got back the one Sunday, and I did. It hit me like a ton of bricks. My mom, who had worked so hard a whole year, took her bonus and paid for me to stay, not to be selfish and not to hurt me, but because she loved me that much and wanted me better. I mean, I hadn't done a decent, honest day's job in about 6 years by this point, so, and I did. I got through 4 months, and I'm grateful for that 4th month, because I don't know if I would be sitting here sober if I just jumped right back in like I wanted to do. It was hard. I did not realize the amount of damage I'd caused my family and my girls. But I left and we went through a lot of hardship in my first year with my girls. I mean, at one stage, Kaylee, we went through a time where she would actually take her mattress off her bed and sleep looking at my door, watching my door. And it was driving my family mad, and I couldn't understand it. And what this little girl was doing is she was waiting for me to leave. But I didn't. And my first year, I mean, I think the reason why I didn't feel so great coming into share today, because my first year was very different. I think I hopped and skipped through my first year, maybe a couple of cartwheels, and it was amazing. But trust me when I tell you, my second year, life arrived for me this year. And I didn't know when Wendy asked me 2 weeks ago what exactly I was going to share, because I did think it was a complete epic fail. And that is such a lie, because it hasn't been. You know, it might have been a fail because of what I wanted again and where I wanted to be, but it hasn't. And I'm grateful my first year I had experienced recovery and what it gives you, because it made me hold on this year. It did. I went through a stage this year where I didn't think I could carry on. And it's not that I didn't want to, I didn't think I could. So I went so completely against my head. I had to go back to the basics. Everything they taught me up at Cedars, get on your knees. If you don't want to go to a meeting, that's exactly when you're going to go to a meeting. If someone phones you for coffee, that's exactly when you're going for coffee. When your sponsor phones you, you answer her call. And I did that. And you know, all those little, this two-shall pass, and just for today, all that crappy little things I hated. Trust me when I tell you that's what got me through this year. And yeah, you know, this year for me, a lot about how I sit here today, which is still a complete miracle, is a lot of gratitude, and I have to, and I wish I could sit here and tell you I'm this amazing person who doesn't leave my children at night anymore. In fact, they can wake up at any time and call me, I'm there. In fact, I realize other night they don't even wake up anymore. But I'm not sitting here because of me. I'm sitting here today because of the love of my sponsor. I didn't really use her in the first year, but trust me when I tell you, I knew this year I needed to listen, and I really needed to just do exactly what she told me. When I went through what I do feel, again, this year for me was a complete surrender, pretty much how I went in. What was very different this time is I wasn't alone, and I knew that. I knew I needed to just get up, and when I didn't want to walk into that meeting, because I don't want people to see me broken, I don't want people to see me down, I walked into that meeting. I still try and be of service. Trust me, you got to know what service it is when you decide to take on the tea and coffee for a crew of about 30 who are spreading a message on alcohol and drugs, and when they're hungry and want their coffee, that kettle better be boiled. But I'll do it for them anytime because they work a program, and I had more gratitude, and I'm not sure if they were happy to see me or just happy to have the coffee. It's quite irrelevant. But God gave me all of that this year to remind me why I need to keep doing this. So, you know, I have to say thank you to my sponsor, to my family. It hasn't been easy. I try not let them have expectations of me because I will make mistakes. I'm an alcoholic when I wake up, and I'm still an alcoholic when I go to bed. It's just what I do with that. I still get up every morning, make a cup of coffee, light a smoke. I do my readings every morning. It's something I still practice. I do my step 11s. I sometimes take a night off, which is no good. But yeah, I think my second year, I'm only sitting here because of, it's definitely because of what they taught me up there, and my need just, you know, to be better and do things differently. I don't often share on my girls. I think I do, and it's just more to tell you how they drive me absolutely insane. But they were such an inspiration. I mean, my eldest is completely petrified of the dark, but she gets on a bus to school every morning and walks into high school, maybe a little bit too much like she owns the place. But that's something I've never experienced. I mean, I'm not scared of the dark, but in crowds, I'm fearful. My little one, last year this time actually, she asked me to show her what the mid-mile was, and I did, and she told me, please enter me into this race, and I was like, yeah, no, okay. A lot of nagging I did. I actually had one of my closest friends, he helped me get her ready, and she did. Now, you got to know the powerlessness when you send your little girl into a dam. She's just got a little floater. She's got to swim across a dam that you have to get in the car and drive to the finish end and wait for her. Not only did my little 9-year-old finish that race, she came in and got a medal. And if that's what my second year was about, just being there, being a mom, being a daughter, being a sister, I try and be a friend. I try still make it about a newcomer because that's what it was for me, really. then that's what it's been. So I'm extremely humbled here today, and I'm grateful. As I say, I'm not sure how it happened, but it did. And yeah. Thanks for letting me share.